Okay, hopefully you have visual. This is mic number 1. Microphone number 2. Microphone number 3. Microphone number 4. Microphone number 5. Microphone number 6. And here is the podium microphone.
I wish.
The stream is live. The stream is live. Microphone, podium mic.
Oh, good. I love this BS. Huh?
You just
So
got
let's see,
what?
how many, what's the population of Erie County?
I just
750K?
saw the text that says, do you see this text? I just got that.
750K.
But that's all I got.
Probably
Did you hear did you hear on YouTube? Is everything
very,
looking sound good?
391 people in the hospital. He said hospital, he didn't say ICU. Whoopie-doo. So I
Okay,
don't know.
I'll go through again.
Illegal aliens. that
If you could text me,
showed
I'm
how
gonna go through
break
again
federal
with the
law.
microphones one more time.
Right.
All right, thanks.
All right, so you can announce it there, right? Everyone's got to wear a mask inside of a closed space now?
Okay, once again, hopefully you have visual. This is the podium mic. 1, 2, 3. Podium mic.
To me, the mask is no big deal. And I mean, it's no big deal.
Yeah, no, I forgot.
If you-
Microphone number 6.
When they said you had to go to MOP 4, and you saw those poor guys in the initial.
Microphone number 5.
The Gulf War, they were wearing MOP. MOP is a charcoal suit,
Microphone number 4.
and it gets very hot. And when you go to MOP 4, you got gloves on, you got a hood on, and you're drinking your canteen out of a little, now that's hot.
Were you in the military?
Yeah.
Where were you?
I was in the Marine Corps in the early 70s during Vietnam.
Microphone number 4. Just adjusted that one.
27 years.
Wow.
But
Microphone
I say, when
number
every
3.
guy goes and eat dirt. What do you mean eat dirt?
I agree. Give them a minute.
Our friend's gonna be.
Get them out of the habit.
There wouldn't be any people in the background. Check 1, 2, 3.
I don't know who's who. Is this your wife or assistant principal?
I
No,
just think that-
And lastly, mic number 1.
No, I don't know.
sometimes she could be behind the work wife.
I couldn't, I was work wife.
No, but hey, stop.
Oh, I misread. Yes, you hear people in the background, yes.
I'm there-
So hopefully you got all that.
Going around the school, but seriously, the kids have to get sick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I agree.
I mean, that's the only way you're gonna.
One more time with the podium mic. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
No. No.
Okay, so hopefully YouTube is a go. I'm going to mute the mics going out to the stream right now.
They overcharged them.
Thanks.
Because the way the law is.
Hey there.
You can go there with the intention of killing anybody. They never proved that. Well, they did prove that he recklessly killed somebody. And that's why they quickly
Hi, how are you?
All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 7:32. Executive Jones is here to introduce him for the pledge.
Yes, I'm Jackson, and here's Christina and Jacob, and please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a couple quick notes. If you do have phones, please silent them. In the event of an emergency, there are emergency exits directly behind us and the door you came through for the meeting. Roll call tonight, we have Glenn Bobek, Jay Grover, Nicole Novak, Jude Kuhn, Superintendent of Schools Brian Graham, myself, Joy Lamarca, Daniel Bruno, Mike Loria, our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum, Staff Development, and Human Resource, Cheryl Cardone, Assistant Superintendent of Pupil Personnel Services, and Ruby Harris, our Assistant Superintendent of Finance and School Business. All right, and with that, we're going to start with approval of our agenda tonight. Can I get a motion?
I'll motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any? All right, we'll call it 6-0. All right, approval of the minutes from our November 8th meeting. A motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 6-0. Oh, and you know what I forgot to mention, Ashley Breyer is excused this evening. I apologize. All right. Student ambassadors, we have someone here from the high school. Jackson Drew.
Yep.
Yes.
My name's Jackson Jones, and I'm currently a senior here at Grand Island High School. And I have a few updates for what's currently going on in the high school right now. Currently, we have the starting signups for the mock trial in the high school. That club starts in February. The signups start right now. Winter sports have started, and tryouts were this past week since all the fall sports have finalized. A few of the sports went to states level, but all of them have completed, so now winter sports are now. Casting is complete for rehearsals for the Wizard of Oz High School Musical. That will premiere in February, and right now they're going to be practicing with who they have currently since all the casting is finalized. The Reflections program sponsored by the high school PTSA will conclude on November 23rd, and there's been some great feedback from that. And cap and gown orders for the seniors are now for graduation. I believe they close on December 1st, but right now that's all the seniors have to get that, and I believe they're the blue and white ones. DECA Regionals is going to be held on December 12th, and that is going to be hosted by Grand Island this year. In the past, it was hosted at other schools. We're going to be hosting that, I believe, this Sunday as well. So we'll be hosting that, and then the winners of that will go to compete on at the states level in Rochester. And that is all for the updates for the high school.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and unfortunately, our ambassador for the middle school is not here this evening, and I believe our recognition and good news. Do you want to say a few words, even though she's not here?
Yes, thank you. So I know that, Jude, we're going to invite her to come in December. Yep. But we're very, very proud of her. In fact, I think I have a picture of her for you to see.
Faith Caldwell.
Faith Caldwell, yeah.
Cross country.
Cross country star, yeah. So obviously, Faith is one of our superstar long distance runners. We're very proud of her. She helped Section 6 Class B secure a state championship, which is really remarkable. She was the section's second place runner and finished 15th overall in the states, and that was a new personal best time. So I think we'll just applaud for her, and we'll welcome her next time in December for a little more formal recognition.
And all she got was that she took it for that at six.
Yes. Give her some cake. All right.
Yeah.
On to the public comment session, agenda items only, nobody signed up for it, so we are on to Mike, curriculum and instruction.
Thank you. I just have one informational item. It's our iReady trainings. I want to let everyone know that this last week we completed 14 half-day sessions with all of our elementary teachers at each grade level in terms of training them for iReady. iReady is the new program that we've taken on to perform diagnostic testing 3 times per year for both math and ELA. One of the things that our teachers learned in the training was how to read the reports so that they can use that data both in their daily instructional classroom as well as for RTI purposes to make sure that we know where our kids are. I know over the last several years, many people know our 3 through 8 testing has not really given us much data. We haven't been able to have much, and even before that with the opt-out movement, some of our student information is very limited. So what's nice about our iReady program, it's going to be able to give us the data that we need to actually look at our math program and strategically be able to implement changes. The nice thing about iReady is it's able to drill down into specific categories and show us exactly where our students are more deficient than others. Just looking at some of the data across the board, just to kind of share, I think that we saw some evidence of learning loss, but in some cases not as much as possible, but definitely more in those lower grades, like grade 1, 2, 3. So I think we're going to be seeing some hopefully good effort, concerted effort to make that progress in those areas. And it's not a big surprise to us considering where we've been with the pandemic, but we're on a mission to move forward and actually work with our teachers to get these kids. Every iReady student gets a goal. They get a goal for the year where they should be at the end of the year, and they get a stretch goal that is a goal that will hopefully help them get to be back on track if they're not already progressing on track. So I just want to give the board an update as to what work is going on in elementary, and our middle school teachers will be trained on that in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, on to personnel instruction. Looks like we just have to approve PI1, if I can get a motion.
A motion.
Second?
I can second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 6-0. On to non-instructional, just looking for approval for PNI 1 through PNI 3.
A motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 6-0.
Good. Just touching base with our principals. Any introductions tonight? All right, thank you very much.
Alrighty, on to finance.
I think this is my shortest agenda. I know. The first thing we have here for board approval is obsolete equipment. This is coming from Buildings and Grounds. It is a unisaw and a power washer. And then the next item on here for approval is budget transfers over $15,000. That pertains to the capital project area. We are actually finishing that out, and final cost reports will be done in December for submission. So these are the last little things you'll see pertaining to the $24 million capital project, as well as the budget transfer for payroll, and that was just some internal movements of staff, so we pay them out of the correct codes for state reporting.
Alright. So we need approval all the way through to the bottom of each row?
Just A and B is approval, and then
Alright.
all the other ones are just informational.
Alright, can I get approval for A and B in finance, please?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 6-0.
All right, and then C, D, E, and F are just informational, so that's the check warrants, September to October, treasurer's report for August and September, revenue status report, August, September, and October, and budget transfers that are under the $15,000 for information. Any questions? Great.
Record timing.
To Cheryl, special education.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I have my two that I already have, a CPSC and a CSD program recommendation, please. If I can have action on those.
I'll
I'll make a motion.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 6-0.
All right, and then I also have a special education services plan. According to the state of New York, we are supposed to continue to do a 3-year plan for students with disabilities. If you look through this, it talks about our special ed continuum. It talks about the programs that we actually house at Grand Island, our out-of-district programs and how many students we have there. The budget comparison, I'm pleased to say that for the past 3 years, even though we have decreased in some areas and our special ed student population has risen, the budget remains constant. So here you go, Ruby, that's your Christmas present. And on the last piece, I also have CPSE. At the current time, that number continues to grow. Our CPSE students are 3 and 4-year-olds, and we are up to 55 students that we do service. If you notice, the years are 2019 to 2022, so it looks like it's up again in the spring, but I just want to let you know that the 3 years is kind of staggered because the last part of the plan actually shows data from our graduation rate to how our students are doing suspension-wise, if we are suspending any too many students with student disabilities, et cetera, et cetera. That data is always a year or two behind. In fact, if you look, the latest data is 2019, 2020. It doesn't even have last year's data for us, so there's a little bit of lag of time. So probably the next time that I will be doing this is be looking at it again in 2023. And I will do one that says 2022 to 2025. So in case there's any question why there's that little lag there, it's because of the data. The data is always a year behind for us and then 2 years behind according to the state data. Questions from me?
All right.
Thank you.
On to the superintendent's report.
All right, good evening, everybody. I want to thank our students for being here as well, learning a little bit more about government, so thank you for your attendance today. Each board meeting, probably since last March, I've been talking about COVID updates. So for our board, the most recent information, if you look at the 2 arrows, the first arrow on the left indicates when we started school last year, and the arrow on the far right is where we are today. So this chart shows the week-to-week net change of positive cases on all of Grand Island. That's all citizens on Grand Island. There was an increase of positive cases on all of Grand Island by 91 more from the last week. So updated as of November 17th, there were 91 more new cases on Grand Island. So the aggregate, a week ago we had 2,590 citizens on Grand Island who had tested positive since last March of 2020, and this past week it went up to 2,681. So since the last board meeting, we've had 56 students identified as positive with COVID-19 and 199 others who have to quarantine as a result of those 56 positive cases. Additionally, we've had 5 employees identified as positive and 8 others who had to quarantine, and that's since the last board meeting. Since the beginning of the year, we've had 123 students from September 1st to the end of last week identified as positive in our district, and 457 others who've had to quarantine as a result of being a close contact. Additionally, since the beginning of this year, we had 22 employees and 32 others who had to quarantine. Some of these numbers are also reported, say, from families whose child may have become a close contact, for example, in the community, but this gives us the aggregate for our district at this time. And this is just another way to look at the data. You can see in September, 22 positive students, October 37, and as of November 19th, 64. I know, Cheryl, today we have more in the district, and so those numbers are not represented in this chart. And then you can see the increase of quarantine from September to now. Also our positive employees who have tested positive and the number of quarantined as a result, and then the total for everybody to see that it's still present in our community. I've shown this before. This is an aggregate from Erie County. It was published on November 13th. It shows by age group the number of individuals who have been positive with COVID since March of 2020 to November 13th a few weeks ago. It's just for nerds who look at data, you can almost see like a bell curve here, right? Exactly. But take a look at this. This is last week, and this is from March to now. So last week, by age group, you can see that the shape is changing a little bit, right? So from 0 to 4 or 0 to 9, looking at it over a long period of time, it looks different than it does this last week. So this represents the age group of 0 to 9, and then the age group of 10 to 19 in the first 2 bars of the graph. So you can see there are more young people becoming positive in Erie County over the last week. So this chart alone represents 3,567 new cases in Erie County over a week's time. Okay. This is just a chart that I keep track of, and I get the information from charts like this that show 0 to 9 and 10 to 19. And the 2 lines represent the age group of 0 to 9 and 10 to 19. So from the beginning of the school year to the week ending November 13th, obviously in Erie County there is an upsurge of young people becoming positive with COVID. This just represents the changes in October to now with the number of cases in Erie County. And this is as of the 20th. You can see here that there were 3,567 cases the week of November 13th, or ending the 13th. And then this is the last 7 days, 4,355. So clearly there is there are more individuals who are positive with COVID in Erie County. And this is the most recent data as of November 19th of hospitalizations in Erie County. So this chart starts on November 7th. The first bar graph is November 7th, and the last is November 19th. So according to this chart, there are 230 patients in local hospitals here in Erie County with COVID. And this is just kind of like the look from March of 2020 to the most recent data. And I believe the red line is the current individuals, not the current, but the individuals who are hospitalized over time in Erie County from March of 2020 to the present day. So again, the chart is moving in an upward direction for hospitalizations. This shows that 230 patients in Erie County and their vaccination status, with 60% not fully vaccinated in hospitals, and 63% of the patients in the ICU are not fully vaccinated, and 67% of the patients in the ICU who are on airway assist are not vaccinated. And this chart just is updated each week. This one is, we're still waiting for the most recent information, but as of November 13th, there were 84% of Grand Island residents ages 20 plus years who have had at least their first dose. So this number is incrementally growing each week, just by small percentages, but it's nice to see it growing. So before I talk about the most recent change in quarantine, do any of the board members have any questions of what's been presented so far? Okay. So this is a little bit of good news for those who are identified as close contacts and who have had to quarantine. Late last week, Erie County is indicating that close contact, students who are identified as close contacts no longer have to be quarantined for the entire period if they receive a negative test on day 5 or after, and if the parent completes this form and submits it to the school district, I would say on day 8. So this form, along with a negative test, will allow someone who is asymptomatic and currently quarantined to return to school 3 days earlier than the current quarantine period. So this form was emailed to all of our families last week. It's on our website. Do any of our board members have a question about this?
It's good to see.
Yeah, it's good to see some changes with the quarantine period for healthy asymptomatic students. So at the last board meeting, our board adopted a resolution that encouraged the Erie County Department of Health to move forward with a test-to-stay strategy. As many of you may know, a test-to-stay strategy is designed to significantly reduce the number of students who are excluded from school because they've been identified as a close contact of somebody who is positive. A test-to-stay program would allow for students identified as close contact here in our school district to be tested daily before school. If the student is negative, given a rapid antigen test, the student would be allowed to be here in school each day. So this is a test-to-stay strategy. Our board adopted a resolution to support the Erie County Department of Health to move forward with planning for this type of strategy in schools. I'm very proud to say that Grand Island has been selected by Erie County to be the only district in Erie County to pilot a test-to-stay strategy. So this is really, it's really good news for our students who are healthy and asymptomatic and are home because of a quarantine. This will be totally parent choice, so a parent may choose to keep their child at home in the full quarantine period, or may choose to work with us to participate in the test-to-stay strategy, which again is a pilot. It shouldn't be deemed as something that is fully endorsed by the Erie County Department of Health yet. So they will work with us to test kids every day who are otherwise would be quarantined, and if those kids are negative, they would be allowed to go to school. So I'll just stop there for our board, if you have any questions about that.
I guess the wording has invited us to work with them in developing, and we feel confident that our input is really going to be heard and
Yeah.
have a good say in how this will go.
It's a very good question. Today, Cheryl Cardone and I met with Dr. Burstein and Dr. Nicholas from the Erie County Department of Health, along with Dr. Fusco and Dr. O'Rourke, who are the district superintendents of Erie 1 and Erie 2 BOCES, and Mr. Cornell. And we all met, and there were others on the video conference from the Erie County Department of Health who were part of their team. They really do seem excited to learn how this can be scaled beyond Grand Island to other districts. With that said, there are a lot of logistics to make this work, a significant amount of logistics. The number of students in each school, we have our elementary principals here who are currently identified as close contacts, range between 30, 40, 50 kids. Is that a fair statement, Max and Felicia? So to have a test to stay strategy for 30, 40, 50 kids each day at different schools is significant. Obviously requires tests to be available to, not just for us, but eventually for more districts if this is deemed as a successful pilot. So the tests need to be available. The personnel needs to be available to administer the tests and the subsequent data reporting in the databases. So we're fortunate, I think, to begin those conversations with Erie County. We'll have a meeting tomorrow we will have a meeting tomorrow to discuss the logistics of this with Dr. Nicholas from the Erie County Department of Health. And then beyond, I'm excited that the board has given me permission to work with an outside agency to move forward with this strategy here in the district. So we'll be buttoning that up tomorrow as well.
Is this just for class stuff, or is it for they'll be able to participate in everything school related, or everything at home is still quarantine? How does that?
It's an excellent question. So right now, this strategy is just for students to come to school, not to engage in after-school activities. So it's really focused on the learning, the continuity of learning for kids. In the future, if it's deemed successful, they may allow more flexibility with that, but that's how this pilot is written to begin with.
Okay.
So thank you to our Board of Education, not only for standing up for kids in the Grand Island Central School District, but I'm aware that other school districts have looked at your resolution that you were the first one to adopt. And I know for a fact another school district Board of Education has adopted a very similar, if not exactly, word for word, the resolution that you adopted. And that really is wonderful, honestly, for our community to understand that, for our employees to understand that, and for our parents to know that this Board of Education is doing everything possible to help with the continuity of learning, particularly for asymptomatic, healthy kids who are stuck in a quarantine. So this is really good news. Okay. So with that said, in and among the meetings that Cheryl and I had late today with the Erie County Department of Health, actually our meeting was bumped and changed to 3 o'clock because the Erie County Commissioner of Health, as well as the county executive, met to announce that in Erie County there's going to be now a 4-phase approach to try to reduce the caseload of COVID and beds that are being occupied in hospitals as a result of the increase in individuals who have COVID and are hospitalized. He announced today that starting tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., there is a mask mandate for all indoor public locations in Erie County. Phases 2, 3, and 4 will not be put into motion if the mask mandate helps to reduce the hospitalization rates in Erie County based on COVID. So again, at 6 a.m. tomorrow, students, faculty, staff, parents should be aware that when we're traveling around Erie County, around Grand Island, and we go to Tops, that we'll be expected to be masked in those locations. It includes bars and restaurants and theaters, and hair cutting salons, and gyms and fitness centers, and other entertainment venues, and banks, etc. So that was a big announcement today. And again, you know, phase 2, 3, and 4, according to the county executive, would not go into effect if phase 1 helps to reduce the hospitalizations in Erie County. As you know, I am not a spokesperson for Erie County, but does the board have any questions about that?
Does everybody else know?
What's that?
Well, it was breaking news at 2, and I know Niagara County came out and made a statement and said they were not going to institute a mask mandate at this time, so it's just Erie County.
That's correct. So that was late breaking news today. So that's all. I have a few other slides to talk about some celebrations in our district, but before I move on, any other questions about COVID? Okay. So, you know, the board and our community should know that we had a dedication ceremony for one of our tennis courts that is just a beautiful recognition of an amazing teacher, parent, former student, athlete, and coach in our district, Julie Roth Neville. I want to thank Mr. Don Prey for organizing the recognition and this tribute, and I want to thank his tennis players, both boys and girls, who helped with that ceremony, and of course I want to thank the Neville Roth families for being in attendance and for taking a moment to participate in this tribute. It really was beautiful. We also had some guest speakers from some of our students. Also, since we last met, 11 of our seniors have committed to playing sports in their next journey, which is at the college level. So I want to thank Mr. Roth and Ms. Chosky and the entire team who helped make this a very special event for the students as well as their families. And I really, really want to thank our principals who worked with their teachers to organize a turkey trot, the first ever turkey trot here that I'm aware of, where kids not only had a great time running and enjoying the outdoors and meeting some goals for fitness, but they also brought canned goods and foods to donate to needy families in Grand Island. All of the food items will be given to the Neighbors Foundation, and to see this event occur on Saturday with so many students having fun, so much food items being donated, there were really, really special things that occurred to make this a special event. Mr. Woods there dressed as a turkey, Miss Marcella did such a great job. And there's a few pictures of these wonderful principals that you will see momentarily. The principals, I think, had a goal for the students, and if they brought in, I believe, it was 5 or more items, then they got a ticket, which allowed them to throw a pie at their principal. I could not have timed that better. Now imagine, I don't know, Max and Felicia, if you thought that Mr. Antonelli had a better go at this than maybe the both of you did. Imagine a 5th grader throwing a pie at you and a kindergartner throwing a pie at you.
I did see some pictures of the two. A little bit more on the face.
So I'm gonna let some of this play.
Dexter Mike's got to sit closer.
So these are some of our older students getting ready to run. It really was great. So I am going to jump ahead a tad. Look at Felicia right there. Mhm.
Look at, they made them stand way back for that.
Yeah, we did move the podium. There was a lot of energy going on here.
They were kind to you.
Oh, there's a couple other pictures though. They finally, this one got to move a little bit closer.
Maybe this one.
All right, so let's just jump ahead a little bit. Okay.
Miss Clutch, not in the face though.
So this is what it looks like when you take a video of a lot of students getting ready to run the track. And if you're taking the video and you don't move, interesting things happen.
Oh, no. Uh-oh.
Look at this one. One young man lost his shoe. Get ready. Ready for the shoe. Here it goes. It's right there. Oh. Yeah, they really did a great job. There it is. You know, our life skills students in the middle school help run the concession stand. What a wonderful opportunity for students to learn about money and exchanging of money and service in the community. They did a fantastic job. And there were theme baskets that people could participate in. And there it is right there. That is there were two carts that I think got filled. This is just a picture of one cart of all the students. Mr. Pakula or Dr. Palacci, do you have anything to add to this event?
It was fun to watch Max get pie.
Fun to watch Fruity Pie as well. We all have fun. The kids all have fun. That's all.
That's right. It was really remarkable. You guys did a fantastic job. So congratulations to you. And the last thing I just want to share, whoops, with our board, here we go, was our SRP Recognition Day was November 16th. I want to thank all the teachers and administrators who populated a shared folder where we were able to put together a nice little slideshow in recognition of all of our SRPs. I won't go through the whole slideshow, but just beautiful pictures and another reminder of how important our SRPs are to helping our students, helping our teachers, and our students' parents have a successful journey here in school. This is just a nice tribute to all of our SRPs, so I'll stop it there, but I want to thank them for all of their work. And my last thing is, I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. So thank you very much.
Great. Okay, on to the Board of Education report. We have the Grand Island High School caps and gowns.
So thank you for bringing that up. Mr. Broker, I don't know if you could give the board an update on caps and gowns for graduation and how that flows this school year.
Good evening, everyone.
Sure. And Rod, Mr. Broker, I know that last year when you were here, all of our graduates wore blue gowns, right?
Correct.
And then maybe you could just let the board know, the evolution of that and how it evolved into our students this year.
So I was made aware of the blue gowns last year very early on when I started receiving messages from members of the community asking how graduation gowns would be moving forward this year. So meeting with the people who coordinate graduation, we decided to put it in the students' hands. So we got together with the class officers and the student council officers, and we came up with several options for them. And inevitably what we've decided on, and what the students have decided on, is that go back to the blue and white gowns, but they're going to be non-gender specific. So any student can pick either color to wear. And we'd also talked about, I guess traditionally the students would be lined up in rows of blue and white. We're going to go alphabetical this year, so the students will be, and the colors will be intermingled, so it'll be easier to come up, and parents will know when to plan for their child to come across the stage for pictures. And it just seemed like a win-win for everybody. The students were very happy, and moving forward, the website is up and running, the students have been notified and families have been notified. When they go to the website, it's still going to show a picture of a black gown, but there is an option on the side to pick white or blue, and that is the student's preference on whatever color they'd like to choose. And then that also will allow us, we have some leftover gowns from last year,
Yeah, thank
and
you.
that will allow us to provide someone who might not be able to afford a gown, one free of cost, and it will not matter what gender they are.
That's great.
Thank you, Mr.
You're
Broker.
welcome.
Very good.
All right, on to the wellness committee. Carol?
You want to bring this up?
Yeah. If you want, or-
So I actually had a conversation with Sue last week because Jessica Hutchings, who is the middle school social worker, and I wanted to meet with the wellness committee to update where we are with our family support services. And I asked Ms. Kuhn who the other person was besides Sue, and we realized that we didn't have another board member on that committee. So Sue said she'd put it on tonight's agenda. If anybody would like to join us, we will have an upcoming meeting. It can be virtual if you'd like. And we just want to update you where we are with our family support services. We also talk about, like Horizons just presented to everyone last week. Dr. Graham, how many people attended that virtually? 126?
Yeah, it was really fascinating. There were about 126 people viewing online. We had one person who came in the auditorium, so it may have looked a little interesting with just one person, but there were 126 who watched it online.
Right, and Jessica Hutchings does put those together, but they are, they are a product also of our wellness committee meetings. So if anybody would like to join us, please let us know.
I know before we were meeting at 11, but we can move that time, right? I think we were doing that. And to start with, I think we're just gonna meet with the school representative, so it will just be myself, you all, whoever else joined, and Cheryl and Jessica, till we get our feedback on the ground, and then we can go back and ask the town if they have any interest in having a couple people on the committee, as they did before. So I think we could move the time. I can't remember. I know, were we meeting first at 4?
It's been all different times. We did do 11 because it fit everybody's schedule, and Robin couldn't meet until 4 because she was the last board member besides Sue. Sue's been since the inception, so basically it could be whatever time we would like.
What was the date of the next one? We don't have.
I don't have one.
Yeah, I don't have one. Probably, I'd like to have one in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, just to say hello, and kind of update where we are. We do have a potential new agency joining us, so that was why I wanted to update that. And we also have another potential speaker and the topic I wanted to run by the committee. And I think we're having that presentation in January. So I would like to have a quick meeting. Like I said, it can be virtual. It'll probably be about a half an hour. We meet typically, about every other month?
Yeah.
Sue, you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I could definitely be a part of that, it would just depend on time and the date of the meetings, so
Okay.
keep me in the loop.
Good. I mean, I'm really.
What time is best for you,
Yeah,
Jay?
it would have to be 4 o'clock-ish or after.
It's okay. It's fine. That works.
Great.
Thank you very much. I'll be in touch with the date and a time.
I was gonna say, yeah, just shoot an email. Great, and then the only other thing listed under the Board of Education was the Charlotte Sidway PTA meeting that I attended. It's always wonderful to go back to Sidway to the beginning, so it was exciting to be there. There's a lot of excitement down there in our primary school with our new principal, Mr. Antonelli, and it looks like they're implementing some new programs into Sidway, as well as keeping some of our favorites that have been there for years and years, so always good to be back at Sidway. sit in little chairs. Yeah. So then we're on to the public comment session. We did have one person sign up, but I just gotta read through this real quick. At this time, public comments are invited from those individuals who desire to address the Board of Education on any topic which is not on the agenda. Residents who have previously signed up to speak will be recognized by the president. When speaking, please identify yourself first. Speak clearly and loudly enough for everyone in the room to hear you. Speakers are requested to limit their remarks to no more than 3 minutes. To appoint a spokesperson if a concern is a group concern and if necessary or desired to supplement verbal presentations or written reports. Personal comments for a member of the community, staff, or Board of Education will not be considered appropriate. So we just did have one gentleman sign up, Justin Jones.
Justin Schoen, Grand Island, New York. Dr. Graham, I'm wondering if you mind, I can't really address you, but Dr. Burstein had belittled and ignorantly referred to all of our students as little disease vectors, and I'm wondering if she gave you an apology since they are neither ticks, fleas, or mosquitoes, and COVID's not listed on the CDC website as a vector-borne disease. I'd like to ask the board whether or not the preliminary discussions have started regarding New York Senate Bill A8378, which would require COVID immunization to attend schools, and whether or not we're prepared to reject mandates along those lines. I propose that the entire Grand Island School District Board of Education stand up in front of the student population and explain to them why they're being burdened with society's health responsibilities. You can bring the students in one at a time, or however you need, in order to social distance them while they're masked so they're not in a quarantinable situation, and stand up on stage and explain to them. Stand up and explain to them why, even though they are the least affected age group of COVID-19, they need to endure the inconvenience of wearing masks in schools. Stand up in front of them and explain that you know that they can watch the director of the NIAID and chief medical advisor to the president contradict himself repeatedly on camera regarding the effectiveness and suggested requirements of mask wearing, but how it all makes sense. Stand up in front of them and explain why, even though they are healthy and show no signs of being ill, that they need to miss 7 to 10 days of school, even though most of them will not test positive for the virus during that time. Stand up in front of them and explain why, even though the CDC states that reinfection of an individual that is already tested positive is rare, and that it doesn't have, and that they don't have studies stating otherwise. That even if they have tested positive in the past, they should still be required to wear a mask and get vaccinated. Stand up in front of them and explain why the most athletic of them that play winter sports indoors have to wear masks while exerting a maximum physical and respiratory effort, even though in their travel leagues that just ended they didn't have to. Stand up in front of them and explain why less than 1,000 deaths among 72 million in their age range should have them living in fear of dying from this disease. Stand up in front of them and explain to them that as long as they wear masks and quarantine like they're told to, that they will continue to earn our district millions of dollars in ARP funding per year. Stand up and explain to them that even though the majority of their parents and their friends' parents are opposed to mask and vaccine mandates, they should ignore their parents and accept what the school officials impose. The students of GISD deserve to be addressed directly in person by the entire GISD Board of Education, the people that make them wear masks every day in school, the reasoning and the logic behind the lunacy that they have to endure. Thank you.
Thank you. So on to the committee of the whole items and information roundtable. Bud?
I got enough. I'm all set.
I'm just glad that we're taking steps to get kids back in school sooner, faster, and keeping them in. Glad that we get to take part in that.
Good?
I'm all set, thank you.
Danielle?
I'm all set, but I just wanted to mention, if you need something else in a wellness committee, I'm also available.
Thank you.
Hate to do this, but there's two items. One, I just want to remind all members of our community that they're going to be getting, if they have not yet signed up for Opera Room, several emails from our school, so that once you get a reminder to sign up for Opera Room, please do so. You will be asked to complete the first item you'll have to complete for now is the digital equity survey. It is a mandated survey for all of you to complete as parents of students in our schools. very short, easy survey to fill out. It's not something that you should be worried too much about, but it is just to kind of assess our students' accessibility to technology while they're both in school and at home.
I filled it out this afternoon.
Thank
Can I ask
you.
a question about that?
Yes.
So you have multiple children, should you fill it out for each one? Or
You
just fill out?
You should fill one out for each child, please. Yes. Second thing is just want to give the board an update that our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee had their first meeting earlier today, and I just want to say I'm very proud of the people who attended. We had a great conversation about making Grand Island a community and a home for all. Talked everything about the racially charged issues, economically charged issues, even issues such as our own homegrown Islanders versus non-Islanders came up. So we really want Grand Island to be a place where everyone feels welcome, everyone feels accepted, and that goes across the board for many different characteristics and our stories. Each individually can hopefully become one. So happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
I just wanted to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thank you for all you do. So, I'm happy to announce 2.5 years after submitting for our DASNY grant for Sidway Playground, it seems that we're on the end of the submission curve. We are doing some final signatures, and then I should be able to submit for the reimbursement. But I've never been so happy to receive $100,000 like in this world of millions. And also our American Rescue grant submission is in the review process. I have a meeting tomorrow to go over a little back and forth that we're doing over a 3-year grant and the level of detail of information they'd like to know. So once that is done, we will probably do a resubmission, and then I should be able to update you when we get the final approval for that. That is all I have. Happy Thanksgiving.
And Ruby, I just want to add, it was Senator Jacobs that worked with Denise Dunbar and her playground committee.
Yes.
And that's where that $100,000 was, where we received it, but
Yes.
to your point,
Her submission.
it takes about 2 years to get the
Right,
actual money.
her initial submission was actually before I even started here in 2018. So it goes back a good 3 years of work, but we submitted final items. It's really interesting. They're like, when are you gonna start? Like, we're done. When are you gonna give me the money for it? So we're just going through that last bit, but it's great news. That was a concern just with COVID and everything else, that they were gonna start interchanging funding, but it seems solid. So I'll give you the update when I get the check, real check, not large check.
I just want to also wish everybody the happiest of Thanksgiving, whether you celebrate with your family or friends or both. I hope it is joyful and a time to reflect on the things that we're thankful for. So best wishes for everybody to have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Okay, just a couple of dates to go over here before we adjourn. We do have Thanksgiving recess, and I believe the middle school and the high school is off the Monday after Thanksgiving for parent-teacher conferences, right, middle school and high school. December 13th is our next Board of Education meeting, and December 24th through January 2nd will be winter recess. So, what's that?
13th here.
No, it's okay.
It's like pipeline. Oh, it does say pipeline, sorry, I missed that part. All right, if anybody doesn't have anything else, I will ask to adjourn the meeting at 8:24. Motion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Carried 6-0.
I agree with that.